Uptick Watch Reviews, 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 Uptick Watch Reviews.
Bonjour mes amis, hi guys. You might remember last year I was one of the first one to get the black dial version of the Zenith Chronomaster Sport. On the day of the announcement of the release, I was immediately smitten by the watch and managed to secure the black one. I couldn't get the white dial on the bracelet, and sort of thought that the black one was my favorite. I enjoyed it a lot, and at the end of the year I had to pay some taxes, and I sort of rationalized and thought, oh well, I can always buy it back again, and I prefer my Speedmaster in the very long term anyway, and I sold it. And this year, I again, every time I would see this watch with the white dial, it just popped, I thought, and I was really interested to get one. And funnily enough, a couple of weeks ago, I made a video about it. I went to a new Zenith boutique, and they had one for sale. And unfortunately, there was a slight defect. The seconds hand of the chronograph would not reset right at the 12, and it would need a service right away. I was not going to pay full retail for that. When I'm talking about full retail, the retail price has already increased a bit. It is well over $10,000, and because there's a long wait list pretty much everywhere. People are ready to pay full retail, which is a great achievement for Zenith, and it shows how popular the watch is. Fast forward 10, 12 days later, and I see somebody selling a brand new mint, barely worn white dial for about 20% off the retail price. I'm like, and it's a nice seller, a very nice guy. You can tell he's a watch guy. So I jumped on it, contacted the guy, figured, even if I don't like the watch after a while, it won't be too hard. I won't take a hit on it. He came to meet me, very nice guy. He was putting together a collection of different Zenith El Primeros, and there you go. And he had not even worn the watch on the bracelet, so everything is perfect. There's not a scratch. It is beautiful, and man, I just love it. The black was great, but the white one has the pop. I love how the date disappears because it's black on white. So yeah, are we gonna reopen the whole debate about the Daytona? I was watching the comparison with the Daytona by Tim Mosso, and I found it a bit infuriating. He kept on insisting that this looks too much like it when you do this. Well, you can do that with many watches, and they look a lot like other watches. There's only so many ways you can build a watch. But anyway, I'm not trying to rationalize this. This doesn't feel at all like a Rolex does, which doesn't feel like a Tudor or a Patek does. Each brand has a feel, and definitely here you have the feel of the Zenith. What I wanted really, and what actually had stopped me, and I will end there with the Daytona comparison, from buying a Daytona, was the fact that if I was to pay so much, I would at least like to have everything I want, which is, if I want a chronograph, I want something usable. The tachymeter is useless for me. The screw down pushers is great when you swim, but I use them more often than I swim. And I want to have a date. I mean, the only thing really that Daytona I like, beyond the fact that everybody says you should, everybody seems to love it, is the clasp adjustment, the easy link, and I'm sure Zenith eventually will create something similar. But apart from that, this watch here answered everything I wanted in a watch. The size is just right for me. Again, Tim Mosso was insisting how thick it is, and yeah, of course you have the display case back, but it's thick. It's not thick at all. It's just 1 millimeter and a hair more than the Daytona, which many people find too small, actually, too thin. It's a lot of women like to wear it because it is so thin, and yes, it does make a big it is important to have the display case back, which you don't have with a Rolex, and here you have a beautiful thing to see. So yeah, it adds a bit of thickness, and it is very welcome. On the wrist, I think this watch wears fantastic. And yeah, it addresses everything I wanted, and that I didn't like actually in the Daytona. So I mentioned the easy access to the pushers while keeping 100 meters of water resistance. The crown likewise doesn't need to be unscrewed. Yeah, I won't feel as comfortable in the water. Maybe I would not take it to the water, but if you did have to, if that was the only watch on holiday, or if you fell into the water, it would be fine. 100 meters is fine. 50 meters, Zenith says, is fine for them to swim. That's how their tests are going. But here you go. Here you have 100 meters. Anyway, the date, I love it. A usable chronograph. People say, who bought this watch, no, I'm never going to use the 10th of a second. I actually love it because I constantly time my children running around the park. They love it, and I love to be able to do it on the watch rather than doing it on the phone. And having a 10th of a second does make a difference to me compared to the second, because sometimes it goes down to the 10th of a second. So for the pleasure, let me start the foudroyant, as it's called in French. And there you go. Of course, you have lume, just like you have on the Rolex. The other thing I like, so if you know the old Rolex, the one that was Zenith powered, they would have had the same configuration with 3 subdials, and the one at 3 and 9, actually at 3 and 9, right in the middle of the dial. When Rolex moved on to their in-house movement, those dials were pushed higher up. Some people said it was to avoid people making fakes, and it sure would do a good job at that, because there's no other movement that's laid out that way. But what I always find when I look at the current generation Daytonas is that those dials are awkwardly placed very near to the 2 and the 10 o'clock markers, especially if you look at the racing dials with the Arabic numerals. I much prefer have them in the center. Other thing, if and yeah, I'm still comparing to the Daytona because I think it's important. Other thing I find bizarre with the Daytona on the ceramic white dial is that those subdials, when I look at it, I'm thinking, okay, everybody loves it, so I have to love it. But I actually find it a bit bizarre looking, a bit like a clown, a sad clown, those black circles and the white and the black. There's just not much excitement to it. It's borderline ugly. I mean, I can imagine other people don't find it appealing like I am. And don't get me wrong, I'd love to be able to get a Daytona at the retail, or even pay a bit more, and just to experience it. But I think some people like the black dial more because of that reason. And here you have the trademark Zenith tricolor on the subdials, and they look so good. They just have a great pop, and it's very different from the black dial version. On black dial version, this subdial here with the running seconds will be like an eye that really pops out, while here this one obviously disappears a bit on the white, the beautiful pearl white background. And it's more the blue and the gray that have that signature look, and that pop more on the white background. Anyway, the writing, lovely and everything. Here you have 1 minute counter, so you can, because here you have a 10-second counter with a 1/10 of a second detail. Here you have the 1 minute counter, so you're able to tell where you are in the minute. Which is great, and here you have the 1 hour counter for the minutes. So here we are 3 minutes and 5 seconds, and it keeps on going. And when you stop, you can read. There's another scale on the inside on the readout. See, maybe people might not notice it, and then you can see here you are at the 8 seconds and 6 tenths. So it's you read it 3 minutes. Yeah, 8 seconds and 6 tenths. There you go. It is not a flyback, so do not push here while running. And yeah, for the rest, bracelet, great quality, very comparable to the Oyster bracelet, but with more channels to aerate the wrist, as Tim Mosso often says. Yeah, there's a lot of air there, which I think is great, especially in a humid climate like we have. As you know, the clasp, look, Rolex is the market leader, the best clasp, the best bracelet. This one looks a lot the same, but it feels a lot more, not that strong. Obviously, it's not that as thick, but otherwise it works the same. No adjustment on the fly, but you have a lot of points of anchoring, 5 here, so you can really get the right fit. And yeah, it's gonna get a lot of smudges, scratches, but it does make the watch look more dressy. And Zenith did try it with full brushed, and this is what they went for. And personally, I like it. I like a bit of flash. I like that this watch has a lot of pizzazz while being a sport. It means it is, to me, definitely one of the perfect one watches that you can buy, because to me a perfect one watch has to have the water resistance, a date, I like it, the lume, because I like to wear my watches at night, has to be good at the office, good outside of the office, has to have an extra complication. And here you have something unique on the market, that tenth of a second, because you have a high beat movement, 36,000 VPH. And so this watch has all those things that make it a perfect one watch, and really incredibly enjoyable. Let's zoom in on the movement a little bit, I think, and I can show you a bit, not just my fingerprints, but also a bit more details. And yeah, there you go. Try to catch the light. What I like is that they blew some screws related to the adjustment, I think, of the chronograph, if I'm not mistaken. And then you have the column wheel itself also blued. I believe this is a heat blued. So heat it until it turns to that shade that you're looking for. But there you go. If you want better shots, you can also look at the first video I did of the black version. Same movement, of course. Lateral clutch, column wheel is there, and the lateral clutch, try not to push the wrong button. Yeah, there you go. Infinitely pleasant. So there you go. Now, if you totally want to disassociate, you love the watch but want to be disassociated with the comparison to the Daytona, look for the new release, the Chronomaster Classic, which loses the ceramic bezel, and the tenth of a second scale is put inwards inside of the dial. It is fantastic. It's 38 millimeters, all the Zenith hallmarks. It's very Zenith. It wears fantastic on the wrist. There's the classic version with those 3 subdials, colors. There's the black version, reverse panda, which I like a lot. And I even tried, and I had the chance to buy it, the boutique edition blue, which I think is a bit too flash. I really like the black, although it has that faux patina, faux lume. I really liked it, but put next to this one still has the flash. And this year also Zenith will release another one without this this bezel, with the is the Chronomaster Open, so with the open heart, completely redesigned, and again with a tenth of a second chronograph, but without the date. So quite beautiful, especially on the white dial version. But this is the one I had been wanting, and I have to tell you, now that I've had the black and the white, I prefer the white. It just has the pop, and Let me put it a bit on the wrist. It is just, yeah, perfect for the wrist. And man, I love looking at my wrist when I wear this watch. I love looking at my wrist in a window, in a mirror. It is a great one watch. It does everything. It does something that no other watch can do, no other brand can do. The only problem with Zenith is that I'm sure they will release many more dials. Actually, they just did a special ice blue dial version with the black subdials, or with the ice blue subdials as well, for a Japanese store, and looks absolutely amazing. But you can tell that, and the CEO actually told on the interview that he has more drawings, more plans, but for now it's so difficult to satisfy the demand. He's keeping them in the drawers for now, but I'm sure there will be more colors, more design on the Chronomaster Sport. The white one will always be special. I'm sure there will be interesting variations. But that's the thing with Zenith. There's always something else coming. I hope they will keep some restraint to keep a bit of the brand equity that they have managed to build with this model, because people are queuing and ready to pay retail for it. Any questions, any comment, happy to hear. Put them down below. I hope you've enjoyed this revisit of the Zenith Chronomaster Sport. I'm enjoying this a lot. Bye bye, guys.